morning, everybody. I'm Anusha from CSC department, working as assistant professor in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In my videos, I was discussing about programming with objects. In today's video, we will be discussing about some examples in swings, wherein we are using some buttons, and on pressing that button, we will be writing some data into the label or text area or text field. So basically we are adding an action listener to the Jbutton, and which will in turn set the label, text area or the text field. So let's look into first example of adding action listener to Jbutton to set the text field, the JTextField. So in our program, what we basically do is we have this frame in which we have one text field and a button. So the text field is initially having some data written in it, and when we press this button, it will rewrite the data in the text field to this. So once we press this button, the data will be this data will be written onto the text field. So this is what we are going to implement in this example. So we have one text field, a button, and on pressing that button, it will be rewriting the data in the text field. So for that, we have to use action listener. We have to implement the action listener interface. We can either have the class which we are working on to implement the action listener interface, or we can go for anonymous classes to implement the action listener interface. So here in this example, I am using my class is implementing this action listener interface. So this action listener interface has a method called as named action performed, which will be triggered when that particular event occurs. So the event which will occur is the action event. So when we press the button, an object of this of the class action event will be created, and it will be passed on to the action performed method of the listener interface. So in our example, we are making use of a frame on which we will be placing our text field and button. So we have a text field to write our message, and a button for having the action done. So here inside our constructor, we are doing our work. So we are creating a frame with the name button example. So the frame will get the name with which we are created. So since we have given one string there, that string will be placed over here as the title of the frame. Then we are creating a text field with this string inside. So this is when the text field is created, this is JTextField will be kept on the text field. So by which we have this text field value written onto the text field. Then we have now we have created our text field. Now we have to place the text field onto the frame. So for that, we call the add method of the add method, which will add the text field TF onto the frame F. So we have the text field kept on the frame F. Now we are setting the bounds of the text field at 50-50. So this is the x and y coordinate, and this is the distance. Like for example, if the text field will be placed at from the frame 50 here, 50 and 50 as x and y coordinates, and this length will be 150, and this height will be 20, or the width of the text field will be 50. So we are setting the bounds of the text field. After that, we are creating a button named click. So the button will be created with the name click. So we have the button named click, and also we are setting the bounds of the button. Now we are adding that button onto the frame. This button B is added onto the frame F. Now we are we are implementing the, we are registering the event, we are registering the action event with the button B. So the event that can occur is clicking the button. So when we click the button, an object of action event will be created, and it will be passed to the action performed method of the action listener interface. So in this line, we are registering our button, the button which is the source, which is the event source, that to that event source, the event listener called the action listener is registered. So since we have this action listener registered for that button, and when that action event occurs, it will trigger the action performed method. Now we are setting the size of the frame to 300 by 300, and the bounds are also set. Now we are not specifying any particular layout, so we are setting the layout to null and the visibility so that the window will be made visible. So for that we are setting the visibility to true, and when we press on the close button, the frame is exiting. So to exit on close, we make use of this constant. So the frame's default close operation is to exit on close. Now once we press that, when we press that button, when we press this button, it will trigger the action performed method. So when we press the button, an event is created, an event of type action event is created, an object of the event action event is created, and it is passed to the action performed method of the action listener interface. So when we press that button, what we are making to do, we are making the text field of that text field of the JTextField TF to set to welcome to Jbutton. So here we have this string placed when we press the button click, basically adding an action listener to a button. And here we have used the class is implementing the class which we are having is implementing the action listener. So in this case, we have two components, the Jbutton and the JTextField, and when this button is pressed, an event is created, and that event is registered with that button. So our button is registered with that action, with that particular action event. So when that event occurs, it will it will set the text field to some given string. And inside our main class, we are creating the object of that particular class. So this is how we add an action listener to a Jbutton to set the JTextField by using by implementing the action listener interface. Now, in another example, we are making use of the anonymous class. So this is the structure of anonymous class. By using anonymous class, we make the program more readable and precise. So this is again the same example wherein we have a button, and to that button we are registering an action listener event, and when we press that button, it is resetting the data of the text field. So it will be resetting the data of the text field. So in our example, we are creating a text field with default text, default text as this is JTextField. So we get like this. We get this text field, and this is capital letter. So and we are setting the bound so that it will be, this text field will be placed at 50 from the frame and 50 from the 50 and 50 by x and as x and y coordinates is as its x and y coordinates. Then we are creating a button named click, and we are again setting the bound. So this button is placed at that particular specific value. So so here we can see that the x and y axis of text field and button is the same. So we have everything aligned at the same point. Now we are registering the button with an event listener. So here it is registering with the action listener interface, and here we are making use of anonymous class. So we are registering the button with the action listener. So we are to register the button to that listener, we are making use of the method add action listener. So to that action listener method, we are giving some work to be done. So what is that particular work? It has when that event occurs, it has to set the text to welcome to Jbutton. So when we press the button, when we click on this button, or when we press this button, that text field, this text field is rewritten to welcome to Jbutton. So it will the data in this text field is written to welcome to text field. So here we are making use of anonymous class. So we just have to be very particular about the syntax of the making use of anonymous class. And then we are adding those buttons and text field onto the frame. Then we are setting the size of the frame to 400 by 400. There is no particular layout applied. Hence, set layout method parameter is null, and the visibility is true, so that we can so that while executing the output is visible. And when we close the frame, it just exits on close. And inside the main method, we are creating the object of the button, which will in turn trigger all these work. So here in our example, we have seen two examples wherein we are making use of the anonymous class, and in the previous example we have seen that how our class is implementing the action listener interface. Now in the next example, let's see how to add action listener to Jbutton to set the Jlabel. So in this case also we are making use of the anonymous class. So just look at the syntax. This is the bracket wherein the action listener method opens, and this is where it closes. And we must use this bracket which indicates the start and stop of the anonymous class. So this is making the code more readable and precise. So here in our example, again we are having a frame with named label example. A frame with label example, because hence we get the title for the frame. Then we have the label with default value. This is Jlabel. So this label is created, and when we click on this button, this label is rewritten with the button with the string button was clicked. So we created a label L1 with the default string as this is Jlabel. So this will be the value which will be displayed when that label is created, and we are placing that label at x and y coordinates as 100, and the length of the label is 350 and the width of the label is 150. And then we are creating a button. The button is placed at 80, so it will come above the so we are placing the button above it at 80, and then we are making use of this anonymous class, which will place which will be triggered when that event occurs. So when we press that button, the value will be rewritten to the button was clicked string. So initially that label contains the string, this is Jlabel, and when we press that button, the action event object is created, and that is passed on to the action performed method, and wherein this action performed method will reset the label's text value to button was clicked. So to set the text value of any label, we make use of the method set text. So the set text method will reset the value of the text field, that label. Then we are adding that button to the frame and the label to the frame, and then the frame size is set to 300 by 300. We are not making use of any particular layout, and the visibility is set to true, so that the output is visible. And inside the main, we are creating the object of the button, that class which implemented our logic. So which will on creating the object, it will create the frame with the button placed on it and the button and label placed on it. And when we click the button, the label string is rewritten to button was clicked. Now in one more example with label. So in this example, we are making use of a image. When we click the button, the string is replaced by an image. So to place an image, we make use of the class image icon. So to this image icon will convert the URL passed to it, the URL of the image passed to it, to an image icon here in our program. So so here to the image icon class, we are passing the address of that image. So I have downloaded an image of Indian flag and this, it is at the location given by this. So inside this, I have the image placed. So this image is placed inside my E drive at IARE folder, and India is the file name. So we pass this URL to the image icon method as class, so that it will create an image icon as such to be used in our programs. So now let's look into the examples in detail. So we have to import all these packages for our program. Then we have our class button label, and inside its constructor, we are creating the button and the frame and the label. So we are creating a frame with the label named label example and frame named label example. We are creating a frame F named label example. So we have this frame created with label example. Then we are creating two labels, L1 and L2. Then we have this image. We have a button B1 which is created with the string image. So we have the image, we have the button named as image, and then we are placing it at 80 by 200 point. X and Y coordinates of that button are 80 by 200, and its size is given by 150 by 150. The length and the width of the button is 150 by 150. Then we are placing that button onto the frame. The button is placed onto the frame. Now we are creating a label with the string. This is Jlabel, and it is also placed at X and Y coordinates as 80 and 300, and its size is 300 by 300. And that frame, label is also kept on the frame. Now we are adding an action listener event. We are adding an event listener to the button. So first we have to register that event listener has to register with that source. So our source here is the button. To that button, this action listener interface is registered by the method add action listener. So here we are registering that event, the particular event, action event, to this source button B1. So what are we doing inside that? We are placing an when that button is clicked, it has to place an image specified by this particular URL onto that label. So we have specified we are making use of an image which is downloaded and placed at this location. So inside E drive IARE folder, I have my image India PNG, which is a flag of India. So this image will be placed onto the icon, onto the label when I press that button. So for that event, this is the action to be performed. So the action to be performed is we have to set the labels icon. We have to set the label as an icon which is specified by this. So which this image is this URL is for an image of India's flag. So that image will be placed on the label. So when I click that button, so when I click this button, when this button is clicked, this label will at this location we are placing this label. On this labels we are placing this image of the flag. So so this is implemented again by the anonymous class method, and here we are setting the size of the frame to 800 by 800. There is no particular layout used, hence it is set to null, and the visibility is set to true. So this is how we add an action listener to the button, wherein that button is setting the label to an image. So to add an image to any label or any text field, we have to use the image icon class. Next, let's look into the action listener wherein when the button is pressed, it is setting the text area. So here we have in our example, we have the class BTA and we are importing all these packages. So we have this frame created with the name button example, and we have a text area which is having a default text placed with this is JTextArea. Then we have this this text area is placed at x and y coordinates as 30, and its length and width is 300 by 200. And now we have to we are making use of some font, so that text area will be placed with that particular font. So to assign a font to that text which we are using, the text which is being used inside the text area, we are making use of the font class which is available inside the AWT package. So we are creating an object of font class with these particular features. So we are the font that font object will be of type Verdana. It will be bold and the size will be 10. So an object of this font size is created, and this font we are calling the set font method of the text area to set its font to the particular font which we have described. So whenever we write data onto this text area, its font will be Verdana, bold and size 10. Now we are creating a button named as clicked with its coordinates, x and y coordinates at 100 and 300, and the length and width as 95 by 30. Now again we are making use of the action listener. So in this, when that button is pressed, we are placing this string. This string is placed at location 17. So to insert the string to that particular location, we are calling the method insert, which is available inside the text area. So this method will insert the given text at particular point 17. So initially our text area contains this string. So this string is of 16 characters. Let's see. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17. So there are so this starts from 0 and it ends at 16. So this string is of 17 characters and its ending location is at 16. So now we are inserting this string. This is starting with a space. So this particular string is placed at location 17. So what will happen? We have this text area. This was the initial text inside the text area, and that text area is followed by the string which we have placed. So when we click on that button, this action event object will be created, and that since we have this button registered with that action event, the action registered with that action listener for that action event, that clicking of the button will trigger the action performed method. So when this action performed method is triggered, it will insert the string which is passed to it at the location 17. So to insert some string at particular location, we make use of the method insert of TextArea. Then once we are placing the button onto the frame by calling the add method. Similarly, the TextArea is also placed onto the frame by add method. The size of the frame is set to 100 by 400. We are not making use of any layout, hence the layout is set to null, and the visibility is set to true so that the output will be visible. And when we press on the close button of the frame, it will close the it will exit when we press on the close button. So the default close operation of the frame is set to exit on close. And inside the main, we are creating the object of that particular class. So this is how we add an action listener to the button, which will set the text area of the to some particular value. Now let's look into an example wherein we have two push buttons. We have two push buttons and a text field. When each button displays an icon that represents a flag of a country, and when the button is pressed, the name of that country must be displayed on the text field. So here, what we have is we have two buttons. These are two buttons with two countries, India and USA. And when we click on this India flag, it has to reset the text field. The text field has to be reset to India, and if we press on US button, then it has to write US onto the text field. So this is the question here. So here, so in this example, we have made use of these packages. Then we have created a frame with flag button name flag button example. So we get this flag button example on it. Then we have this text field. We are creating a text field without any text so that we can write whatever the India and US string onto it. So here we are creating a text field, an empty text field. Then inside our constructors, here we need not create the object. We just have to initialize it. This statement is not needed. Here again we are creating that. We are creating the object of, we are creating an empty text field. Now, the text field's bound is set to 100 by 50, which is its starting x and y coordinates, and its height, length and width is set to 150 by 20. Now we are creating a button with some image. As I've told in the previous example, if we want to add some images onto our components, then we make use of the class image icon. We make use of the class image icon. So to this class, we will be passing some URL. So URL of that image. So that URL will be converted into image icon, and it will be placed over the button. So I have my India flag downloaded and placed at this location, at this URL. So that that image will be converted into an image icon and placed it on the button. That is why we get a button with the image of the flag of these flags. So we are creating a button with India flag image as well as flag of US. Then that button's bound is set to 100 and sizes of 100 by 100. Then we have added that button onto the frame. Now this is anonymous class to register the action listener event to the button source. So here when we click that button, that action listener action event will be created, and since that event is created and we have our button registered with this event, with this listener for that particular event, this action performed method will be invoked. So when the action performed method is invoked, it will set the text field value to India. So that means when we click the button, when we click this button of India flag, this text field will have the value as India. The text field value will be set to India. So this is one way of adding action listener to it. Again, we can in the second case, I'm making use of lambda functions. So they are small functions, small set of lines, which again makes it precise. So this whole set of lines is reduced to one single line. So here again, in this case, again I am creating a button for the US flag. So I am passing to this button. I am adding this to this. I am creating a button with this image. So this is the URL of the US image, and since we have to make use of the image in our program, we are making use of the image icon class. This image icon class will convert the URL passed to it as an image and place it over the button. So we have this US flag button created. So this US flag button is created with this line. Now it is placed at 250 by 100, and its size is also 100 by 100. Then we are adding that button onto the frame. Then we are making use of the lambda function to register our button source with that event. So when this action event occurs, when we click that button, it will set the text to US. So when we click that button, the action listener interface will be the action event object will be created again. See, even if we have this reduced to one single line, these steps, the same step as these are created. So when we click on the button, the action event object will be created, which will invoke the action listener interface method action performed, and it will set the text field of the the string US will be placed onto the text field named as TF. So this is we are making use of the lambda function so that we can reduce the code. This is reducing the code and makes it more readable. And now we are adding those buttons, and the text field onto the is added onto the frame. And then the frame size is set to 300 by 400, and it is placed at location 200 by 50, and with its size 500 by 500. There is no particular layout used, so it is set to null, and its visibility is set to true, and the exit operation is to exit on closing the frame. And inside the main method, we are creating the object of the button. So this is how we can add a button with the flag, with the image, and trigger replay and resetting the flag text field by some text on clicking those buttons. Now, let's look into another program, which is to implement a GUI program that accepts two numbers and display their sum and difference. So here we have these two buttons with plus and minus. So, and there are two text fields to read the values. We have to give two values, and when we click on the plus button, addition button, it will add these two numbers and store it in this text field. If we press the subtraction button, then it will subtract these two the values inside the text field and in these two text fields and place it in this text field. So this is the work. So let's see how it is being implemented. So here all these things I have implemented inside the main method itself. So I have to create a frame, text field, string, whatever values, whatever components I'm using inside the main to be static. Then I'm creating a frame with this string. So we get here, I have used the same frame as before. So this flag button frame is created. Then we are creating two text fields to read the two operands A and B. they are empty text fields, and it is placed at X. The first text field is placed at XY location 50, 50, and the second text field is placed at location XY at 150 and 50. So here we can see the X coordinates are moved. So but the Y coordinates are the same, and the size are also the same. So we get two buttons of the same size, but they are placed in the same line, one after the other. Then we are creating a button with the string plus, and with the name of the button as addition, and another button subtraction with the minus symbol. And these are placed at location at XY as 50 and 100, and this subtraction is placed at 150 and 100 with the size 50 and 20. Now we have created two buttons, with the plus button for the addition operation and the minus button for the subtraction operation. Now we have this third text field to read the result of addition or subtraction. Now here again, I'm using my anonymous classes. So to this addition button, I'm registering this addition button for this action event, and the action performed will be these lines. And for the subtraction button, I have registered for this action event, and these steps will be performed. So let's see what they are doing. So what is done here is, we have these two text fields A and B, right? So this is text field A and this is text field B, which will be reading the A and B operators. So the values which is written onto these text field will be in string form. Even though we write numbers, those numbers will be taken in the form of strings. So first, those two numbers has to be converted into its particular form, whether it is integer or float, or so it has to be converted into that particular form, added, and then we have to write it onto the text field. So to read the values from the text field of A and B, we have to take two integer value. We are taking two double values. We are taking two strings, V and V1, which will take the text from the those text fields. So we will have the A's text value, and V1 will have the B's text value. So let's say we are having, this was our text field A and this is our text field B, and into A we are having 3.4 and into B we are having 7.5. So what will happen? We will have the value 3.4 as string, and V1 will have 7.5 as string. Now this V and V1 has to be converted into double or float or integer, and only then we can add it. So this the value V was string, as string is 3.4. That string is converted into double. So it is converted into double by the pass double method, and it is converted into double as and similarly V1 is also converted into double, and those two values are added, 3.4 and 7.5 are added, and that result, let's say we get 10.9. We get 10.9 into X. Now X is again a double value. So into X we have this double. Now this double value has to be written onto the text field C. So onto the string we can write only the values as strings. So this double has to be converted into string. So we are making use of the value of method inside the string class to convert the double, which is the value passed to it, into string. So we are passing the double value 10.9 to this value of method. So this will convert the value 10.9 to to string, and that string 10.9 is placed onto the C text field. So we are setting the text field of C using the setText method of we are setting the text field of C using the setText method to string value 10.9. So this is how we will read the contents of the text field and do some addition or subtraction and write it back into another text field. Now, in the same way, this was for adding two numbers. Now we have another example to, another button to subtract these two values and store it onto the text field. So, in the same way, we are making use of two strings, v1 and v2, to extract the values of those text field. So, we will contain the text, text inside the text field A, and v1 will contain the text under the text field B. Now, v and v1 are converted into double using the double dot parse double method, and those values are subtracted and that is stored into X. Now, X will contain the result of 3.4 minus 7.5, and that value is converted, that value is in the form of a double that is converted into string, by the value of method of the string class. So the value X, which is a double, is converted into a string and is placed onto the text field C. So here, when in our example, we have passed two values 89 and 43 onto that. So we stored 89 and 43 onto that string, onto that text field, and when we press the plus button, it will store 132 onto the text field, and when we press minus symbol, it will subtract these two values and give the result into that text field. So this is how we extract values from the text field and do some particular operation. And after that, we are setting the size of the frame. Then the layout is also set to null, and the visibility is set to true, and the default close operation is set to exit on close. So this is how this is a program that accepts two numbers and display their sum and difference. So, to prepare these slides, I had used Java Complete Reference, the concepts from Java Complete Reference, and the website Java T-Point, Oracle's Java tutorial, and Samatha's website to prepare these slides and write these programs. Thank you for watching my video. That is all for today. Have a great day. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.